that you can either ask orally by raising your hand, or we are going to go through the questions that we get through the chat. So feel free throughout the whole workshop to post any questions that you might have in the chat. And now I'd like to very quickly share the agenda with you. So first of all, we're going to give you a little insight into what is forging and set a bit the frame in which we're interacting here. And Brigitte Jurisic, who is our coordinator, will give us this overview. Then we have a session where we're going to share recommendations and lessons learned that we have gathered in the forging white paper that was very recently published. And after that, we have two great speakers that are going to give us insights into how they have been able to shape responsible innovation in their policy design and implementation. So these are examples from both a city and a regional, so we have different contacts. So this is Erika Augustinsson, working as innovation strategist at the region Blekinge in Sweden, and Balázs Barta, managing director at PBN in Hungary. After that, we're going to have an interactive session, which will be the moment where we can answer all questions you might have, both on the forging project, on the recommendations, and on the good practice examples that we have shared before. And afterwards, last but not least, we would like to give you insights into what's still on in forging, or mostly what are important results that you can use beyond the project. It will be insights on our expert community and an open source toolbox that you can access. And we have Brigitte Jurisic from INL and George Martins from VTT who are going to present that to us. Now, I would like to give the floor to Brigitte for our introductory part on forging. Brigitte, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Eva. So my name is Brigitte Jurisic. I come from International Iberian Nanotechnology Laboratory based in north of Portugal. Charlotte, if you can change the slide, please. So we're the coordinator of the Forging project, which is a 3-year coordination and support action with the 2.5 million budget that is coming to an end next week. So this event really is about sharing what we've done over this 3 years time, and what are the results that we gathered through the work that we did. So as I mentioned, INL is coordinating these efforts. We also have partners from Spain, I2CAT, which is an internet center, a research center in Catalonia. Then we have 2 partners from Italy, APRE, that's main objective is sharing Italy's participation or increasing Italy's participation in European projects. And they were responsible in this particular project for expanding co-creation. Then we have STAM that was responsible for looking and scouting for the emerging enabling technologies that we focused our work on. GAC group, so our colleagues Eva, Charlotte, and Soraya that you heard from because they were organizing this event, and they were mainly responsible for communication, but also for innovation policy related work. And last but not least, our partners from the north, from Finland, Research Center, Technical Research Center, VTT, that is quite big, so many of you might know it already. And they were responsible for the work around foresight, about sensitive innovation journey, how do we embed environmental and societal responsibility in the innovations that we develop. So next slide, please. So the methodology that we focused on was to look into different technologies, and the frameworks that we looked at were human-centric solutions, human-machine interaction, bio-inspired technologies and smart materials, real-time based digital twins, cyber-safe data, transmission, storage, and analysis technologies, artificial intelligence, and technologies for energy efficiency and trustworthy autonomy. So these are not technologies by themselves, they're frameworks. So inside of each one of these frameworks, there's several technologies that contribute towards Industry 5.0, which is the framework that we wanted to work on. And they're also quite linked and work in collaboration with each other. And in order to add the human-centric perspective to it, we added this circle, the effects that you see in the circle, basically, that are the societal and economic impacts on those technologies. So we wanted to look into the interplay between the technologies and how do they affect, how is technology acceptance and trust in the technologies, how does it affect the adoption of technologies? Then what are the governance dilemmas around these technologies that don't happen only in artificial intelligence, but also in other technologies? What are the ecological or social aspects of developing technologies? Any specific economic conditions that contribute to them? And what's the interplay that we can get when we bring people from different disciplines together, but also from different sectors? Can there be learning from one sector to the other, but also how does multidisciplinarity and different views enable us to develop technologies in a more human-centric way? Charlotte, if you can move. Yeah. So what do we mean by human centricity? We mean a multidimensional framework that places human needs, characteristics, motivation, experiences at the center of development and implementation of new technological solutions. So we're looking into not only meeting the functional requirements, so not only engineers and scientists developing the technologies, but bringing also the end user at the very early stages of technological development to feed in their requirements, their fears, their needs, so that we can, with the technology, enhance human well-being, capabilities, skills, and working conditions. So the idea is that the acceptance of technologies will increase because of the human centricity. If you move to another slide, Charlotte. And all this conceptualization comes from Industry 5.0. That was a concept developed after Industry 4.0. That's basically all about digital technologies in industry. And the concept of Industry 5.0 goes forward from Industry 4.0 because there was the outcome of not having really digital tools implemented in the industry with as high rate as it was expected. And this was because there were fears in adoption of technologies. The technologies were not developed in a way that was human-centric, sustainable, or resilient. So this is where we bring in then this human-centric dimension in looking at the technologies. And that's, I think, all from my side. Over to you, Eva.
Thank you so much, Brigitte, for this introduction. So now I would like to move to the presentation of the Forging White Paper and its recommendations. But before we go into that, I would like to ask everyone to very quickly put up the video so we can get the picture of who's in the room, and I would like to see actually which kind of target group you mostly belong to. So first of all, please switch on your camera. And then please, those that feel like they're policymaker or closely related to policymaker, of course, can also be intermediaries, but with those working with policymakers, put up a thumb so we can see a little bit who's in which part of our target groups. And if you don't have a camera, it's not an issue. We just wanted to be able to see that. Okay, sorry, I think I was not clear. Please put up your hand. It's like as if you would like to speak. Sorry, because the thumbs are disappearing. Sorry. Indeed. All right, I see 3 raised hands. Any others? Okay. And now please put down your hands. And then question to the others. Please now put up your hand if you feel like you belong to what we can call research and innovation actors, anyone working on projects related to research and innovation, or those who work on facilitating those kind of projects. Okay, give you another second. Do we have all the hands up? I see 12 hands. Great. Okay, thank you so much. That was just to have a little bit of an idea which target group is more represented here. And I think that a couple of you maybe work with both of these target groups, and or maybe even you represent both. So now, please, Soraya, the floor is yours for the introductory part on the white paper and the recommendations.
Thank you, Eva. We wanted to share the approach we had, the methodology we followed to write our white paper. But first, the question you may have is why writing a white paper? We wanted first to disseminate a value-sensitive innovation approach, making sure that the principles we've developed reach a wide audience and can be applied in practice. So we had 3 main goals: explain and justify the forging methodology, share how it differs from traditional linear innovation models, and advocate for the integration of ethical, environmental, and societal values into early stage technology development. Our second objective aims at structuring lessons learned and good practices. So it consolidates the collective learning from diverse stakeholders, industry, academia, civil society, policy. It's also about making methodologies, tools, and results replicable, and more to follow with George and Brigitta. We will show some of our tools, specific tools. And we also wanted, of course, to document what works and what doesn't in the uptake of emerging technologies. Third objective was to influence and try to influence policy and strategy at both EU and member states levels. So it's this white paper aims to inform European Commission services and policymakers on how value-driven innovation can support the twin transitions. It aims also to contribute for the future funding programs. And we would like to position forging approaches as good practices. Finally, and I hope this will speak to you, we want to engage stakeholders beyond the consortium, that is to say our audience of the day, but also all your networks. It's all about opening the dialogue to a broader community of actors. We can take these ideas forward. We want to attract new stakeholders to join the forum. We still live beyond the end of the project. and continue to engage people in and building bridges with policy bodies, and innovation agencies. So our approach to develop this white paper was based on the combination of empirical insights gathered over 3 years of project activities that included co-creation workshops, stakeholders forum, foresight exercise, and use case investigation. We also shared internal reflections by forging consortium partners, drawing on the multidisciplinary expertise in research and innovation management, and also responsible research and innovation practices, ethics, technology foresight, and policy making. We have also conducted external consultations with selected experts across academia, industry, clusters, public authorities, and civils. And last, we conducted desk research on policy frameworks, academic literatures, and case studies relevant to value-driven innovation, Industry 5.0, and emerging technology governance. Last point, these recommendations are structured to address the needs of 2 key target groups. You understood which one with Eva's question. So policymakers and project owners. So in total, it's 22 recommendations that we formulated on the basis of this work. 13 about policy actions, and 9 were specifically for project owners' actions. So I won't go into more details here. You will find all the details in the white paper, of course, and my colleague will highlight few of the recommendations we made.
Thank you so much, Soraya, for this overview. So indeed, we have elaborated 22 recommendations overall, but this is too much to present to you today, we are afraid. So we would like to present you a couple of them. So we have selected 3 for the target group of policymakers and 3 for the target group of project owners. So those relating to the policy making are firstly a recommendation to prioritize policy instruments that are designed in an impact-oriented way and results-driven. The second one is about institutionalizing co-creation practices and embedding co-creation methodologies into the public innovation policy design. And the third one we want to share today is about the idea to reduce the perception of risk and to create incentives for investments for societally relevant innovations. And then we have 3 others for the project owners that you're going to hear in a second. So coming to those for the policymakers, first of all, the idea to shift the policy focus. And before I go into details, I just wanted to say, of course, there are a couple of recommendations that you're going to hear about, and also you have seen in the white paper, that might not be entirely new. But we wanted to be sure to share them because we have, through our exchanges, seen that not everything was elaborated and really implemented on all levels of policy. Of course, some might be implemented on European level, but not on national or not on regional levels or local levels or in other ways. So that's why we have gathered a lot of different recommendations and we wanted to share these specific ones now today. So the first one about designing impact-oriented policies. Why is that relevant? Why does this matter? Indeed, there are a lot of innovation programs that evaluate proposals which really look into the methodology part and the processes that are behind. which is of course very important, but we have seen in examples that this not only limits creativity, but it fosters sometimes at least projects that can be disconnected from real world application. So these projects might look very nicely in the theoretical framework, but will be difficult to implement really in the real world setting. So in contrary to that, when we take impact as a major and primary metric for success, we are able to really foster tangible outcomes and see what can be really used in the real world setting, tested, and what has societal value and relevance on an industrial level. Now, how can this be implemented? So we have elaborated 3 different aspects. Firstly, it's important to align early on an industrial level, so to engage potential adapters from companies, smaller, larger ones, from the beginning of the process to be able to be aligned with their needs and also to know their constraints. Then to foster projects that use concrete use cases through the design of the policy that needs to be done in that way, to be able to favor real-life testing environments and, for example, pilots where this can be specifically implemented. Excuse me, but could those who are not speaking please mute their microphones so we do not have any background noise? Thank you. Then thirdly, last but not least, of course, it's important to diversify exploitation pathways. So not only look into the classical exploitation pathway of academic dissemination actions, of course, or also commercial spin-offs, but to think about other exploitation pathways to foster impact. For example, this could be open source tools, adoption also through players from the public sector, implementation into educational frameworks, community-driven innovations, and so on. So when we have exchanged with our experts to see what's already happening and what can be good practices, we have indeed really very strongly gotten that feedback that policies need to be designed in a way that they go beyond policy mandates, so they can really foster impact and be oriented towards impact. And we will hear a bit later today about a specific good practice where the mission approach has been used in certain regions. So I'm not going to give away more about that. So for the next recommendation, we would like to suggest to institutionalize co-creation in public policy design. So why that? Of course, public policy can also be done in top-down approaches, and there are certainly benefits of that. But this approach limits the involvement of those that might be affected by the policy and by, in the case we're looking at, technological developments. Whereas co-creation, of course, enables a more collaborative approach, which can foster very much innovation and even disruptive innovation. So we think that institutionalizing co-creation in the policy process ensures that, especially in emerging technologies, there can be an alignment much stronger regarding societal needs and values, which in the end will foster the trust and the acceptance by society and all parts of society, of course, all the quadruple helix actors. So it's all about inclusion, representativity, and of course, the alignment with the values and expectations of the society. Now, how can we implement that? Firstly, embedding the co-creation in the design of programs. So participation of public authority representatives in diverse settings of participatory processes, such as scenario building workshops or other kind of co-creation workshops, citizen panels, and so on. Then this is a way also to see that co-creation requires resources and time. So it's very important to see this cost benefit. And talking about benefits, of course, the real benefit that we think can be fostered through the co-creation is that the connection with the multiple stakeholder groups and their representatives can really foster real innovation. Now, the co-creation approaches require skills and tools, so it's important to support capacity building both inside the public authorities designing the public policies, but also to design programs that foster capacity building for co-creation in research innovation projects and other settings. And then lastly, of course, very important to monitor the outcome. So not do co-creation only to do co-creation, but to use real indicators and to establish those to be able to see how the co-creation has been able to contribute to the acceptance and the relevance for society. And as a nice example that we have seen, we have seen that there are regions and there are places in Europe where policy makers are already very much using or involved in co-creation approaches, for example, in the environments of living labs, where they can work together with players both from research side, from industry side, technology developers, and representatives of societal sites. So this can be a very nice way to test this kind of approach and to interact with the quadruple helix stakeholders. Then for the next recommendation, we think that it's important to reduce the perception of risk and to create incentives for investments into societally relevant innovation. So why is that important? Especially in emerging technologies and in particular when these address societal challenges, we have high levels of uncertainty and then of course of risk which is associated with that. So the return of investment may not be immediate and also difficult to quantify and also of course maybe lower, so this can be discouraging at the beginning. Whilst many innovations that address societal needs and societal challenges can be very important, and especially when we have multiple applications across different sectors, so we call that multi-use, the overall value can be increased very, very much, and thus the risk can be shared and reduced overall. Now, how can this be implemented? So we think it's important to firstly create incentives for responsible innovation. So to develop funding instruments and also possibly fiscal incentives that can reduce the risk or the perception of risk, because not necessarily the same, of investing in technologies with high societal value. Then regarding this second point, to develop risk sharing mechanisms, there can be multiple ways and also means to do that. So for example, to use public-private partnerships or blended finance to spread the risk across multiple actors, so the risk per actor will be lower. On the legal side and regulatory side, it can be a way to remove legal risk, for example, through the creation of regulatory sandboxes, or why not consider pre-commercial procurement for early stage innovation to be able to invest in these sometimes very important innovations, but of course which are considered risky. Of course, it's important to consider simplified processes that are in line with the societal goals, and also for research and innovation projects, it's been shown that especially those that use emerging technologies and which can be considered risky for that purpose, the process and the method from the policy side allows for flexibility to be able to adopt to changing environments, and especially to always be aligned with societal needs that can also evolve over time. And then lastly, the promotion of multi-use benefits. So as I said, what we call multi-use is the application across different sectors. So we think that cross-sectoral applications of technologies can increase really their impact and the value proposition that they have, and through that also reduce the risk of each of that. So it's important that this reduction of risk or the perception of risks can enable greater investment and also experimentation in areas that are serving societal needs. So with that, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Charlotte, who's going to share some recommendations for the project owners. Charlotte, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Eva, and hello, everyone. So as Eva said, so now I'm going to present you some recommendations for project owners. So the idea is to provide you some three of the recommendations for project owners to support them in project designing and implementation. So the first one is the use of societal foresight to understand potentials and impacts of emerging technologies. So why this is important and why this matters? Because indeed, foresight methods are very, very powerful methods that are used to anticipate and explore potential possible futures, and this can help in better decisions because it helps also to identify any potential trends, risks, opportunities in order to prepare today for what might happen in the future. So how this can be implemented, we have considered three aspects. The first one is the use of scenario-based planning to design projects aligned with expected future developments. The second aspect is regularly revisit, check, and adapt project direction based on new signals that can come when you implement and design a project or any stakeholder inputs. And the third one is to ensure that your project remains relevant and responsible, in a changing environment, because you can have, there are some rapid advances, any potential shift that can impact also the projects. And based on the exchanges also that we had, we have identified a good practice that I wanted also to share with you is there is this EU-funded project called the Eye of Europe that aims to enhance the integration of foresight practices into research and innovation policymaking across Europe. And so this is one good practice that we have identified when we did all this preparation. The second, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the second one is the use of key value indicators to complement KPIs. Why this is important? Because KPIs, they are going, let's say, a step further because they are also looking and considering the societal, environmental, and ethical impacts, which traditional KPIs usually overlook these aspects. And how this can be implemented, we have again considered three aspects that are important. The first is to identify and apply KPIs that tracks societal value, ethical alignment, and environmental sustainability. The second one is the use of KPIs in project monitoring and evaluation to ensure that human-centric and sustainable technology developments. And the third one is to communicate value beyond financial metrics to founders and potential stakeholders. And again, here, I wanted to share with you a good practice that we have identified is that in Europe, there is an independent association called We Are Europe, that brings together professionals committed to a common goal, which is defending the fundamental values of the European Union and working towards a more fairer, greener, and democratic future. So going to, it's a bit slow, sorry. And the third one, third recommendation that we wanted to share with you is it relates to the idea that it's important to start since the beginning to understand the societal needs and real-world testing of concrete use cases. So why this is important? Because developing technology that address actual and concrete societal challenges enhance relevance and adoption, and it also ensures that the technology solves answers to a real problem. So how this can be implemented. So again, 3 aspects that we have considered. The first one is to identify societal challenges and needs before designing the technical solutions. So at an early stage, it's very important. The second one, it's develop and test concrete use cases with potential end users. And the third one is pilot technologies in real life environments to gather feedback and refine scalability strategies. So the good practice here that we have identified, it's coming from Hungary. And perhaps maybe Balázs, one of our speakers, can provide more inputs. It's about the Silver Club. It's kind of a living lab, living lab and environment that enables to test the digital services and the elderly friendly solutions. And perhaps Balázs, you can tell it a bit more after. So these were the 3 recommendations that we wanted to share related to the product owners. And very quickly, oh, sorry, the slide. Here we put you can scan the QR codes where you can find the white paper, sorry, with all our recommendations in more details. So I can leave it here a few minutes, and I will leave the floor back to Eva.
Thank you so much, Charlotte, and great to see these nice examples that you have stated. So I hope everyone has taken the QR code and been able to access the white paper. And in any case, we have shared that by email with you as well. So now I would like to move to the session with our great external speakers who are going to share insights from their local and regional settings and share what they do in these environments. And first of all, we're going to have, can you please move to the next slide? We're going to have Erika Augustinsson, a innovation strategist from the region Blekinge in Sweden, who's telling us more about the mission-based approach in her region. And afterwards, we're going to have Balázs Bátor, who's the managing director at PBN from Hungary, who's going to share insights from different initiatives in his city. So Erika, the floor is yours, and I understand you wanted to share your slides from your site, so please put them on the screen.
Yes, I will do that. Thank you for inviting me to this, and I will see if I can share my slides, and you have to tell me if you can see them or not.
Yes.
It might take a while because Teams seems to have been updating today. Oh.
If you have issues, we can put them on the screen as well as you prefer.
Yeah, I know, I sent it so you have it in case of emergency. But you see anything?
Yes, coming
yes,
up.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
So thank you for inviting me to this. I think I will start by just saying that I think that the recommendations and the white paper that you have made is really interesting, and it's a lot of it actually is the way we work in Blekinge. So Blekinge, I'm going to go to the next slide. Blekinge is a small region in the southeast of Sweden, about 160,000 inhabitants. We have a local university. We have quite a lot of large industries. We're not very entrepreneurial in this region. We suffer from the same challenges that a lot of the remote regions do, job loss, young people leaving, and so forth. So that's sort of the baseline for the region that I'm working in. I work as an innovation strategist, and I started my work in this region 6 years ago by developing our smart specialization strategy. And I hope that everyone here knows about the smart specialization strategy, but just to be sure, it's mandatory to receive EU funds, and all the regions in Europe need to have a smart specialization strategy. We luckily, at the same time, the EU, the Commission presented the EU missions. So we were looking at both of these tools at the same time. So we had a bit of luck in that it was a good timing. Because what we saw when we developed the smart specialization strategy is that we thought that there was a lack of the sustainability dimension in the strategy. And we also really wanted to emphasize the foresight, and the future of the areas in our region where we thought that we could make a difference, and that would be important. So we decided to combine these two policy instruments, basically. So that's the sort of the policy innovation that we have done in our region. So we have incorporated the EU missions and the mission-oriented innovation methodology within our smart specialization strategy. And we're sort of a pioneering region in doing that. And a few years later, we can see that it has been a very successful move for us to do that, because the smart specialization strategy, which is very important to us, it was given a natural sustainability dimension, and we were also able to test a new innovation method, and at the same time develop our areas of excellence in this region and apply our knowledge to the EU mission. So it's been a bit of a win-win situation. And just to go back to the smart specialization strategy, which it has been and is the most important tool for transformation and innovation in our region. I know that there are a lot of other regions and organizations that work with the mission-oriented innovation or the EU missions, but from different perspectives. We have approached the EU missions from an innovation perspective, and that's different. When we tried, it was a bit of a challenge to combine these two instruments, but we also set up an innovation council at the same time so that we would get external support into the decision-making process in the region. It's a political decision-making process. We also signed the EU mission charters to ensure that we had a long-term sustainability in the work that we wanted to do. So as far as we know now, there are quite a few other regions working in the same way that we do. We have also pointed out these different areas that's important for us: smart industry, tech, which is what a lot of smart specialization strategies include. But then you see the mission approach is it's the difference basically for us. And initially we had to start by defining innovation, and this is how what we landed in. We're realizing that the innovation today is not business as usual. And it's very much characterized by our time, which means that there are a lot of societal challenges and a lot of big transformations going on. And we also see that a lot more people want to be involved in the innovation process, which basically led us to thinking that the innovation methods at hand at the moment is not really sufficient to be able to address this. And that's why we wanted also to test this new innovation method. So it's quite, it's complicated, the innovation process, and it places a lot of demands on stakeholders, and it a lot of demands on the model itself, on the leadership, on the ecosystem, and the framework. So it's a big transformation in how to work with innovation from our part as well. Wrong one. So just to be clear that basically what we do is that we mobilize the knowledge that we have within our smart specialization areas across sectors in our region, and we apply this to suitable missions appointed by the EU. So we decided that for us in our region, the two of the EU missions was really important to focus on: healthy oceans and climate adaptation, due to our geographical position and so forth. And so we also put a lot of focus in aligning and working together with the regional university, which has been, and the missions itself has been a great tool for us to work a lot closer with our academic environment in our region, because it allowed the local university to apply their knowledge on different areas. So if they're a tech-driven university, and they can use their knowledge within the technology field in different areas. So they can use it on the oceans, they can use it on climate adaptation, and develop innovations in these areas. So it's been very much a win-win situation in regards to the collaboration between the regional authority here and the academic environment. And just to say that so far, the work that we've done has gotten quite a lot of attention, which we're really happy and proud to talk about. We've been in the mission playbook that was a pan-European project trying to showcase different kinds of work with the EU missions. We also have a mission, EU Horizon project called Resist, which is basically 12 regions in 12 European regions working with innovations for climate adaptation. And we've also been appointed a regional innovation valley for the work that we have done so far. So we're quite proud of the experimental journey that we have made. But all of this sort of light on this small region also made us think that we really need to work closely with other regions, because we're quite small, and to be able to do this, we have to work with the surrounding regions as well. And this is something that we also do simultaneously. So we try to work with it's an initiative basically with the 5 other regions surrounding Blekinge. And in that sense, we have to borrow the size from other regions and to see if we can get complementarities in our work. So these are the regions that we are working with. And all of a sudden, we don't only have one university, we have 5. We have 1.4 inhabitants instead of 250, which we usually are in Blekinge. So that's also simultaneously another work that we are doing with this. I wanted to just to connect to the recommendations that you have. I think I thought the foresight that let me see if I can get to the next slide.
Yes. Excuse me to interrupt you. You have 2 more minutes, please. Okay.
Yes. So just to the key learnings that we have done, and this is basically we work on a multi-level approach. So we work with the mission pilots, which are local and regional. So we use the method in a local and regional setting. We also work on a national level and we work on an EU level. So we do the multi-level governance all the way with the missions, which has been very interesting. It's a lot of work, but it's very interesting. And there are some key learnings that we have so far. You have to work across regions to be able to do this, and you also have to use the multi-use dimension, which you mentioned before in the recommendations, which is very important, and also the foresight exercises that you have to build into the processes all the way, and that is something that we have done simultaneously during our developing our work here. So the recommendations I think these are two crucial recommendations that is very important. But also I wanted to stress some of the key learnings that we've done. The test and experiment, the sandboxing is very important. We were on a policy level for a bit too long. We should have done this simultaneously. We should have done the testing and the policy development at the same time. That's something that we have learned a lot that I would like to share with you. And also maybe also a key learning is to educate civil servants on this kind of methods, on these experimental working methods, because you will hit a wall when it comes to all these, administrators that do not know how to deal with this other way of working. So this also a very important key learning. I will stop there and I will stay here, and then you can ask me questions later on.
Great. Thank you so much, Erika, for all these insights. Thank you so much for being with us. I would like now to give the floor to Balázs Barter. If you can please put up your slides, Balázs, who is going to share insights from his city in Hungary. And Balázs, the floor is yours. Right. You have 10 minutes, please. Thank you.
Super. You can see my slides, I think.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So basically, it was so exciting to listen to your presentations, Eva and Charlotte, because there are so many reflections that you will see in the coming 10 minutes. Basically, we are an applied research center, and we focus on what are the new technologies globally, and then we implement different kind of research applications on them locally. We are located in Western Hungary, which is near the Austrian border. What might be also interesting from us is that we had so far 125 European research and partnership projects. So I think we are relatively well integrated into the European development ecosystem with our team. We are an organization of 34 different kind of people with multi-diverse background in education. We have 4 domains that we focus on. What we do in digitalization in manufacturing, what we do in digitalization in senior care, how we work with social humanoids, and how we transform all this knowledge into ecosystem development. If we started with digital technologies in 2018, and these are the different kind of domains that we started at that time 7 years ago. We are very proud that we started data analytics education for our entire team 7 years ago, when all the team was enrolled for data analytics and coding, from the reception to HR, everybody. And then we have XR applications, robotics, and so on. And we started these island kind of approaches in digital technologies. As we understood, that was the new megatrend at that time. And then we have developed a platform, which is, we call it autonomous manufacturing, smart factory, didactic factory. It has a lot of different names. And then we integrate these digital technologies into one platform. And then we develop applications together with business partners and academia on that platform. So if you are interested in how to make digital twin with mixed reality, if you are interested in zero waste manufacturing, or how you can integrate solar panels into your production and so on, then we have developed more than 20 applications of this kind. And this is what we do together also in terms of cascade funding and applied research with companies, small companies and also large ones. We have about 1,000 visitors every year in the ecosystem who are coming to visit us. Our city is approximately the size of the region of Blekinge that was explained in the previous presentation. And then you can see some multiple examples how we have developed it these solutions. Then we also started to focus on 1.5 years ago on humanoids in manufacturing. So these are engines with 3D printed parts, and then we integrate with neural networks and machine learning into that. And this is what we also train and educate to companies how they can do this part. And then we also make prototype development. So in an ecosystem, when there's a company who wants to go abroad, then we are able to make from the idea a complete product and make commercials to them. What we said that, okay, if we can do it in manufacturing, then let's do and apply it into the senior care as well, because we know that social care system is overburdened and aging is an issue, so it's a potential market. And we have first developed a test environment. So we have 50 digital applications where people can come and experience what will be the future in a small home of senior people in the future. We know that there will be no doctors or GPs, or we have less and less. So we need to have self-monitoring of our health system, and we need socializing, and everyone is afraid of safety and security. So this is what we focused on in the test environment. Then we have contracted what Charlotte referred to. Now we have, I should update it, we have 50 senior members who are test persons for our products. So when I explained that we can make the prototypes and we can make commercials, we can also integrate into the production. We are also able to have senior people who are ready to test the silver economy products in our ecosystem. What we also did is we have now a European network of such households. So if a company wants to test in Italy or in Sweden or Belgium, we are also capable to supply it. We are also doing experimentation with VR early detection, with dementia early detection, with VR and so on. And then we said that, okay, let's combine all these components into one product. And this is for the social purpose humanoid robot. We have published a book about it. That's the robot we have. And we started to make experimentation with the robot, with the seniors. So then we have all the smart materials, all the AI, all the social functionalities we are understanding, and then we integrate it into the humans talking with humanoids, which is an issue for the future society and how people will interact with them in the future. Our objective here is not just to understand clearly how it works, the interaction, but how to make it transparent and how to make it ethical, because we understand that it's extremely easy to influence people with this. We have a different kind of devices for that, so we are relatively advanced on that with EEG and facial recognition and so on. And we have international partnerships working on that. We spent about 2 million euros to do that. And then the next step was that if we have a laboratory, we have research space, we have special product we focus on, we want to integrate into the ecosystem and not just 34 of us working together. So we are looking for different kind of platforms. I'm personally involved in the EIT manufacturing, but we are also working on smart material with Fraunhofer. Then we educate students on data science in Mendoza in the United States, and we are also a member of different kind of health platforms. And then we invited organizations in our region, 18 organizations, and we put together first a 5 and a 10-year development plan to have a vision how to diversify the economy and support the local players to go into more value added in the industrial sector. So we have the universities, Chamber of Commerce, large companies, and municipality, and all the big players there. And we are writing this ecosystem development strategy. What can be also important, you can see here that we developed almost 130 collaborative projects with these players that we work together. For us, the focus is now how to have humanoid robot manufacturing company coming to the region. But of course, the university has the objective how they can connect to that with education, with industrial park for the municipality and so on. Then what we also do is, since that little blue thing is, and it's on the border of Austria and Hungary, we are on the Hungarian side and we have the Austrian sister city on the other side. We are 20 minutes from each other. And we said, okay, let's build now this ecosystem in a cross-border manner. So we have developed a joint strategy together in a cross-border way. And I think it's working relatively well. They have now built for 240 million euros a new hospital. For 150, they are building a new university campus. We want to combine it with our hospital, and we want to build now a cross-border university on health industries. So, and we were awarded now 1 million euro to build up the institutional structure for that. What could be also interesting is that we also established a company in Germany, in Baden-Württemberg, because we wanted to be able to integrate closely with the most advanced region in Austria into that innovation ecosystem. And basically, this is what we are doing. And thank you so much for the possibility to share our experience.
Thank you so much, Balázs, for all these insights on your multi-stakeholder approach and the real-life applications and testing that you do in so many different areas. It's great to see all that. So now I would like to open up to the interactive session. So if there are any questions from the audience, please raise your hand. We're going to give you the floor so we can directly exchange. And I just wanted also to point out that I see that there was a question in the chat regarding connection with others working on education regarding multiple fields and how to connect humanities, social sciences with business. So please feel free to connect with Thomas, who has posted that in the chat. Okay, for the moment I can't see raised hands, so I'm going to start with a question from my side. To Erika, maybe. Erika, how do you measure the benefit of using the mission-based approach in your region or in the regions you're collaborating with? Can you share that with us?
Yes. We haven't, so far, we don't measure it in that sense because we have indicators within the smart specialization strategy that we use, and so we measure the amount of stakeholders that are involved, and also so there are some indicators that it's in the project, but the overall that's just a small project, and the overall work that we do, we just see that we make a transition from one point to the other. So what we can see that is, for example, there was the goal of getting a better cooperation with the local university. We see that what has happened with that is that we have now a research fund, a joint research fund with the university, and that is due to the work that we have done. And we also have we reorganized our innovation, our science park in our region to better be able to work with the mission. So there's actually quite a big transformation in the region due to the fact that we have worked with this mission-oriented approach instead. We also see that it is an increased involvement among stakeholders because there is a directionality that it's easier to get people involved, and hence also for a small region, the necessity of getting ideas from different stakeholders and not only the sort of usual suspects. I hope that gave you some answers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Erika. I see Christian Matthias raised his hand. Would you like to ask an additional question or comment on that?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm Christian Matti from the Joint Research Center, the European Commission. I'm very pleased to listen to these presentations. We are currently working, supporting the community of practice on Industry 5.0 that has been launched by RTD, and from the JRC. We are trying to bring two different angles to this discussion that I think has been very much approached by this presentation. One is the place-based approach of Industry 5.0, and the other one is the kind of a challenging what Industry 5.0 is bringing to the overall discussion about industrial transformation, okay, like kind of a tool for a bigger discussion, okay? So I have a comment or a question for Erika and also for Balázs. For Erica, I'm very much curious about what you have done in terms of assemble the S3 and the missions approach to deal with kind of a regional development, because we are using mostly the overall concept of transformative innovation policy and trying to see how there is a potential interplay between climate adaptation and transformative innovation by looking at the implementation rather than designing of strategies, how you can use a portfolio approach with what you have in your regions to connect the dots. And I think the missions and S3 is very much strategy oriented. So we are using this kind of more practical approach about bottom up, about connecting the dots, especially through agencies and actors. My question to Balázs is that on the Industry 5.0, we are trying to see how we can really, as part of our work, and I'm curious about your case because it spans to many sectors and many organizations, how we can target one kind of front-runner economic sector. Okay, and as part of your experience, my curiosity is in your region or in your project, if you have overseen that one economic sector can be kind of a front runner, or maybe like a kind of a very illustrative example on how all these emerging innovations and niches can flourish or can be kind of a demonstrator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Balázs, would you like to answer to that?
Thank you, Eva, for not giving any time to prepare. So thanks a lot for the question, Christian. We are working with automotive because this is decisive for our industry, and in automotive it's working surprisingly well. What we focus on Industry 5.0 is that how the operator can be, how we can improve her well-being during the operation. So with the EEG monitoring and so on, we are using also the humanoid on the shop floor to interact with the individual. So when we recognize that his focus is about to lose, then he goes into interaction with the robot. And we can manipulate the robot and define what kind of topics to talk about and how to talk about with the individual to make sure that he is not lost in concentration. The other industry we are working together is furniture and wood, but it's maybe because of the nature of our economy. So Western Hungary has 80% of the wood and furniture exporting of the nation. We have Swedwood, we have IKEA, and we have Austrian manufacturing companies, so Kronospan, so we have quite a lot of that. So we also have experience within that segment. So those two segments for sure. And what we want to focus on now is the health manufacturing industry, like health-related equipments and such robotic devices. And to be able to offer some, attractive proposal for the employers to come to a region, we have to have some extra services that is available for the companies when they work here. And this is the kind of motivation and exploitation of the labor force that sounds attractive, and these are the attractive tools for that. If it answers your question, Christian.
Okay, I see the thumbs up. So thank you so much again, Balázs and Erica as well for your presentations and for answering these questions. I'm afraid we are a little bit running out of time, so I
think there was a question for Erica as well.
Oh, okay.
Emma.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't see that. In the chat? Is it in the chat?
No. Christian asked a question to Erica
okay, sorry.
as well. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to answer that question a little bit fast. I think the portfolio thinking has been very important for us. So we use, I mean, it's a strategy. The smart specialization is a strategy, and maybe the mission somehow is also a strategic point, and that's why we wanted to. We should have incorporated the testing a lot earlier to do that simultaneously. But I think that we use the regional fund a lot, so to actually implement the strategy. And we have also the Horizon project. So we use a lot of these different projects to make this happen. But I think most important for us has been to test the mission-oriented innovation policy in a regional context. And that we have a playbook that we're going to launch pretty soon with 5 different regional mission pilots and how this can be transformed into a regional context and then also put forward to the European context. So these kind of different levels is something that we work a lot with. And also to initiate that we have to change our innovations, our science park in the region to better be to have better capacity to work with mission-oriented innovation. So these are a lot of tools that we use to make this happen. And for the JRC, I would say that we have had a lot of help from you, and we also, we just realized that there are quite a few regions in Europe right now working with missions, but cross-sector. And all of a sudden, the missions has turned into silos. So now we actually really want to find other regions and organizations that actually work with mission-oriented innovation and gather them instead of gathering the different missions. So not thematic, but the method in itself. That would be very useful. So maybe that's something that you can bring to the table. Thank you.
Right, I see that it seems to answer the question. So thank you so much, Erica. And sorry for having missed that question before. So I'm afraid we need to move on because the time is running. So I'd like to give the floor now to Brigitte Jurisic and also George Martin from the forging team to give you insights into what is still available for you beyond the project and in terms of result of the forging project. Please, Brigitte.
Thank you, Eva. Charlotte, if you can move to the next slide. So in Forging project, one of the main results that we've achieved is bringing together a very diverse community of people, where a lot of people wear different hats. They might be academics, but also at the same time have a spin-off company of their university. They are researchers. They might be someone working in industry. And we brought together a community of people because our thinking was that Industry 5.0 is not just about manufacturing industry, right? When, in the same way that Balázs was explaining, you can take learnings from manufacturing into how technologies are adopted in care homes, for example, or in other verticals. So we have this community of 485 members, which we would like to give some continuation to. As I mentioned in the beginning, the project is finishing. If you can then pass the slide, Charlotte, please. The community comes from different geographic areas in Europe. Some countries are more represented because the partners leveraged their own networks. And then some people also joined the network through the communication and dissemination activities that we organized, such as this webinar. Charlotte, next slide, please. So in order to have some continuation, we would like to offer every 3 months a webinar organized by Forging ambassadors. And this is a voluntary role. We've brought together 6 people. And this is now drum roll music. If you can move forward, Charlotte, please. So we've brought together 6 people with very different backgrounds from different countries in order to take the activities forward and to continue the mission of sharing Industry 5.0 principles. How do we work on developing responsible technologies and bringing social sciences and humanities to the technological developments? It's not an easy job. It needs to be somebody's job. So we have Nina Vesberg from VTT. We have Amaya Igartua from Technicare, Raffaele Longo from National Institute of Neuroleadership, Paul Torrentornos from a hospital in Barcelona, and Oh, I missed Utku Sil from a Turkish company working on a lot of European project and leading the communications part of Interact 5.0 project that also focuses on Industry 5.0 use case developments, and Adriano Parota from University of Turin. So people from very diverse institutions representing what the forging community is, and that will be preparing interesting webinars for you to join. So you can still join the LinkedIn group that we've prepared and the company website. There will be updates there. And yeah, that's all basically from my side. And I'll let the floor to George to present the other very useful outcome that we developed during the project, and that joins basically all the learnings from the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigitta. We can transition the slide, please. Yes, hi everyone. I'm George Martins from VTT, Technical Research Center of Finland. We are one of the partners in the Forging project, and I'm really happy to introduce you to the Forging toolbox. This really is a practical and reusable resource, and in a sense, it brings together the methods, the tools, and also the insights that we tested and validated throughout the Forging project. I would say that at the heart of the toolbox is a value that was always very central in the Forging project, which was cross-sectoral co-creation. And this meant, in practical terms, that we had developers, adopters, researchers, policymakers, and also representatives of civil society working together at different phases in the project. So the toolbox is here to make sure that the approaches that we have tested, experimented, played with, worked with quite systematically, that they don't remain locked within the lifetime of the project, and that they are available for a broader uptake and real world use beyond the project. We can transition, please. So the toolbox is designed to support really a wide variety of actors. This includes companies, of course, and there the expectation is that it will strengthen their innovation processes, helping leadership teams, for example, in anticipating risks or early identifying opportunities. For researchers, it can help ensure scientific work is grounded and connected with both the expectations of societal actors, but also with market needs. So the value appeal is clear here in the sense that the toolbox equips these groups with structured ways to anticipate impacts, to manage risks, and to generate responsible innovations. Next slide, please. The toolbox goes beyond industry associations, companies, and researchers, of course. Also, policy experts can use it to prepare better regulations, to prepare strategies that deal with emerging technologies. Also, civil society organizations and early adopters can gain insights into responsible use in daily contexts. Other examples of users, because we've tried to systematically create typologies or profiles of users of the tools, are, for example, consultancy agencies that can directly apply these methods in projects, for example, making or helping clients make strategic sustainable choices. So there's wide applicability of the tools, and that's really what makes the toolbox an exploitable and scalable result, is that it is usable across different sectors, across different regions, and across different projects. We can move on to the next one, please. So what actually will you find in the toolbox? We conceived it to be not a static report, but rather a hands-on resource. And for that to happen, we needed to make sure that it features quick user guides to the set of methods and tools that are presented there, but also templates and process flows, essentially very practical tips for reusing the methods and tools that we've covered in the forging project. So each tool comes with clear instructions, with tested examples of application that we've applied in the project, and also at the same time this showcases concrete forging results. It means that the users of the toolbox will be able to see directly how the methods might create value and impact in practice. And we were, of course, wanting to make the toolbox a long-lasting legacy of the project. So something that will continue to generate impact beyond the end of the project. We can maybe move to the next slide, please. Yes, and here we just give you some snapshot overview of what you will encounter on the toolbox. So in terms of navigation and access, it will be possible to filter the tools in the toolbox based on the stage for which each of the tool is most appropriate. So this can be early stage, this can be the stage where concepts are being refined or developed more concretely into products. It can be early stages of implementing a solution. It can be the scaling up stage. And there are not very rigid boundaries. So certain tools are applicable or usable across different stages of this continuum, but definitely there are tools that might be more suited or more specific to a specific stage. So we tried to organize them according to these stages. We can move to the next slide, please. And here we bring you an example of a concrete methodology we've used in the forging project, and that's the Futures Workshop methodology. We've used this to develop human-centric visions of the technology frames that were explored in the forging project. So in the toolbox, this method is introduced, it's described in this fiche format where you can see almost a list of must-have, so what you must really do to implement the method successfully, what you must do to prepare for it, what you must do to execute smoothly, alongside tips that we've collated based on our own structured learning and refinement, because many times these methods and tools, they have been refined in different iterations. So we have also improved and adjusted based on that. We can move to the next slide, please. Here you can see a process flow that also will accompany the description of the methodologies. We think that the usefulness here is that there's a detailed insight into the critical execution steps of the methodologies we have on the toolbox. So you can see how detailed we tried to be. Like we provided an overview of stages, what should take place at each moment, even suggested timings for each of the stages. So very practical guidance. We can move on to the next one. So alongside the methodologies we deployed, we've of course applied a series of practical tools, and you can find those also in the toolbox. And with the tools we share really the operational, applicable, and replicable information on how the tool can be used. This here, for example, you can see an example of something fun and engaging to do as an ice-breaking exercise in the context of the Futures workshops that we've organized. So you can see how we've done it. So, but this to give you an example of quite a simple tool, but important, because in a workshop setting, getting people to know each other in a relaxed yet meaningful way is important. We can move on to the next slide, please. But also, of course, we have examples and templates of more complex tools where the execution maybe requires a more scaffolded approach. And so when the tools are more complex and their execution requires canvases or templates, you will also find those on the toolbox. We provide them to the users of the toolbox. As an example here, in the workshops we've organized, we've prompted experts to identify signals of change as part of the foresight exercise. And we've done this in the context of workshops. So we used this tool, a signal matrix, to collect signals in a workshop setting. So you can see how the tool was used. And in the next slide, if we change to the next slide, you can see exactly the matrix that helps categorize those signals, whether they are of a social, technical, political, or environmental nature. So providing the temples through the toolbox makes them reusable and also customizable to any user's contexts or needs. We can move to the next
George,
slide.
1 more minute, please. Okay.
All right. Then I'll just very quickly go through the principles that underlie the toolbox, and then we can run through the slides. Those are co-creation, as you've seen. If you can move on to the next slide. That's also giving, well, highlighting the power of storying and visualization. That's something we've done a lot, especially when translating results of co-creation workshops or visioning workshops. So you will find a lot of methods and tools that put this into practice. We can change to the next slide. Also, we emphasize principles of empathy and ethics. You will see that we have that kind of concern and orientation when we provide guidance on how to structure some of these events, making sure we provide a secure and safe learning environment that is inclusive of different perspectives and different profiles of participants. And last slide, and I'll finish now. And also emphasizing kind of systemic, long-term oriented thinking, because this is what ensures preparedness for longer term impacts and alignment of technology with societal needs. We think the toolbox is a very important exploitable result of this project. Why, you may ask? Well, it's ready to use now. It's available. So it translates our experimentation into something very tangible, into something accessible, into something transferable. And I think that's what is usually wanted in this projects, and we're happy we've produced this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. I think these were exactly the final words, pure something that's usable from now. So I'm afraid we're at the end of this event, but I just wanted to very quickly wrap up and say again, thanks a lot to our different expert speakers who have presented good practices and shared results from project that can still be available and still be used by everyone here in the room. Wanted to share with you how you can still be connected to the community. So you have the possibility to see, of course, on the website information, but please connect to the LinkedIn account. And there's also a LinkedIn closed group where you can engage with your peers in discussions. I think that was also requested by several persons in the chat. So please feel free to join the group and to exchange with your peers and with also especially other stakeholder groups, which is one of the major aspects that we have tried to foster in forging. So just to wrap up, I think regarding the recommendations, we can say that overall it comes to one big recommendation that's actually very relevant for both our target groups, and it is to use approaches that foster the multi-stakeholder views, and we have seen that in very nice practical examples through our presentations today, and to consider the needs of those stakeholder groups to be able to foster effective and results-driven and impactful design and implementation both of policies and of projects, especially projects related to emerging technologies. So this approach could enhance acceptance uptakes and also wider replication. And I think we shared nice examples that hopefully are replicable across other geographical territories and also other sectors. So with this, I'm closing this event today with a big thank you again to all our speakers and the participants. and invite you again to stay connected through the Forging community. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.